Whoa, he's back again so soon. Yes. And today I have another Diverse World speedrun. And for those of you who are paying attention, this time of 13 minutes and 14 seconds is 1 second faster than my previous run. Not that anybody is even watching these videos, but I'm going to be making them regardless of my lack of viewership. Also, I just realized you can look at the splits and the title and tell that the run is 1 second faster anyways, but oh well. I'm gonna play my reaction at the end, even though you'll know the outcome, but just like imagine my level of anticipation, not knowing how fast my previous run was. This was far from perfect, and it ended up barely being faster than my previous best. So here we go. Round one has signs on the floor in yellow, which indicates Iceland, in combination with like the sun faded thin, sort of grassy look. The first name I see is 10 kilometers to Skardshammer, and I see that we're on the one, which is like a road that forms a loop around the island. We're between Borgarnes and Famstangi. So I go to Iceland. I see Borgarnes just north of Reykjavik. So I start to look for the other town, Famstangi. I see I'm going northwest on the road toward Borgarnes, which ended up being like red herring, as can happen sometimes with twisty roads. So in hindsight, it was close to Reykjavik, so if I didn't see Famstangi in like 2 seconds, it was probably going to be in the other direction. So right now, I'm kind of looking around Borgarnes, and the road that led to Skardshammer was the 528. I see it's 48 kilometers to Borgarnes, and it was like 70 something to Famstangi. So finally I go north, and there's Famstangi, so I know that kind of caps my search in that direction, so I'm somewhere in between them. Um, but you can see 76 there, and then I go back and I see that the road is the 528, and it points to the south. There's like a cluster of like 500 roads, 50 roads, and 520s, and so I zoom in and I finally find the 528. So I go to the intersection and I put the marker down. This one is in Poland, and you can tell by the words that sort of end in OW. That's very Polish. So we're sort of by this like, what was it, like a lumber, just random like business type thing, in between towns, not really in any town. So I start to go west down the road. There's some signs there, but they don't have anything. Here's a sign. It's like the village crossing sign. It's like a silhouette of a skyline, but a lot of times those signs don't have like the village name, so I have to keep on going. There's a couple buildings, but it doesn't look like we're in a town yet. But it does start to look more like that. And eventually I see there's the brown sign, and there's going to be a sign that's like blue, indicating like lane sort of happenings. And that makes me feel like more confident that there's the blue sign, that I'm going to be approaching like something where I can find out where I am in the country. So I turn around because I saw a pretty big sign, but it was just like a billboard, like advertisement thing. And then on the next two ads, the first one, the text on the bottom has what looks like a location. The Martin 22 is like a date, but to the left it was like two words, so I didn't think it was a place name. There was another clue on the second billboard, which I think I'll revisit later. But there you can see I passed a green sign. So I turn around and I go and see what it says. And it says we're on the 392 towards Kłodzko, and we can turn for a Beszczyca K Kłodzka. So I go to the map. So Kłodzko, the Łódź part looks like Łódź, which is a really big city in Poland, kind of right in the middle. So I zoom in on that area, but when I do, I don't find Kłodzko, but also the highway, the three-digit highway numbers, they're in the 700s, and I was expecting to see those be in the 300s, so I know I'm not in the right area. The one thing that was confusing, though, was that on that sign, the 392 is in a white background, and usually it's yellow. So I go down the road, but immediately I see yellow. So my next plan is to start looking for the threes. Just sort of based on context clues, I kind of checked the southwest first by Wrocław, and that was right. That's the right, like, area for the 300 roads. And then I sort of see mid to high 300, so I go south, and there's Kłodzko right there. So now I'm gonna look for the 392, and I find it right here. And so it said we're going west towards Kłodzko, so I think I'm on that section. There's another sign that says we can turn for Skrzina, and then we're actually between Kłodzko and Lodek Zdrój. So I don't see Lodek Zdrój initially. You can see it on the right. There was Bystrzyca down towards the bottom, but I'm kind of just like trying to look for Skrzina. There's Lodek Zdrój, but I still didn't really see it. But it's not there. But then when I go and zoom in one more, I see that the 392 actually does sort of extend up above the section where I was checking, and there's Kshina. So it turns out we were in, or just outside of Chebyshewice. So I go back to the start to try to like figure out where I was, and the road, the compass is kind of pointing like due east-west almost. So I look for places where I could be that. When I go to the right, there's an Orland gas station, and then it's Ludwigsdroy, which I know I didn't pass through. So I'm thinking I'm west of that. So I just follow the road here to try to sort of figure out what happens along the road. Pretty quickly, it bends a little bit north of west, and then it bends pretty sharply northwest, like almost north. So I know I need to look for that sort of like feature in the road, and it does that right here where my cursor is. And so I just go kind of around where I see the sort of business things on the Google Maps and put the marker down, and it's close enough. So this one, and I'm a little bit scared because I'm like on the water, which means my mobility is kind of low. When I zoom in, I see signs in English. Like that one said commercial parking, and then this next one here says launch ramp. So I'm thinking this is like the US, or more likely it's Canada. I go north at first, and there's a restaurant on the left. And I try to read the sign, but the one behind it, it says Alaska, like B and C something. So I'm thinking, okay, we have to be in Alaska. That sports shed doesn't say anything about the place name, and then I try to read that. I accidentally go past it, so I go back to like double check. And I kind of like struggled to be able to read it, but I figure it did say Alaska, even though I can't really read it here. I'm just gonna move on. I go a little bit more north, but I'm realizing that there's not like as many shops or anything, so I go back to the start and I try to go the other way, thinking, okay, I'm in Alaska. You can see a US flag on the left up ahead in just a little bit, if I remember right. There's a bunch of like restaurants over here on the right, so I'm thinking maybe if I can zoom in on them, get some clues. It's just like restaurants and cafes and whatnot. There's a couple things that say like bear country. So I'm like, is bear like in the name of the place? Obviously, there's lots of bears in Alaska, so it could just be that. But none of this sort of first section, there's the flag. None of this first section has any place names. I zoom in on this sign and it says Homer Liquor Store. At first, I think that's just like a dude's name or a family name. It's Homer. But when I go down the road here in just a second, it's not at that trading point, but it's the building on the right here. It says Homer Ocean Charters. I'm like, oh yeah, Homer is like a city in Alaska. So I'm ready to go to Alaska. Because we're like surrounded by water, I think we're kind of like on the Aleutian Islands at first, but I don't see it. And then I go more inland, and there's Homer right there. So I zoom in, and I see this like pier thing, and I'm like, okay, we have to be there. Um, so I zoom in, and I see some shops that I recognized right here, like the Catch House. And so I go back to the start. There's a road to the right, and then to the left of that, like north, is water. So I figure I'm at this like freight dock road, and I put the marker down, and it turns out I was actually one road over, but I was still close enough. Round four looks like a city, and my first thought is Singapore at first. So I try to zoom in and go down the road and look for street signs because that's what you do in Singapore. The street signs can kind of tell you what part of the city you're in. But then I zoom in on this sign right here, and it says .my at the bottom, which means I'm actually in Malaysia. So a lot of Malaysian rounds are like on highways. So I'm kind of encouraged by the fact that I'm actually in a city. My goal now is to find the city name either on a shop or just something else. And I don't really find anything initially here. But I go towards this like roundabout, and it looks like there's this like mosque or religious building in the center of the roundabout, which I bear in mind for later because that would be useful for helping me figure out where in the city I am. And then I find a sign for like a university campus. So it says University Mara Campus Muka, which is all fine, but then the big clue's actually on the bus because it says underneath where it said the university, it said Sarawak. Now that's one of the two states in Malaysia that's on the island of Borneo. So I go to Sarawak, I quickly find Muka on the north coast, and I zoom in. And this is kind of the part where I probably should have been able to find where I started faster. That looks like where my cursor is kind of like the roundabout thing with the building in the center. So, but I wasn't certain because I was really just trying to look for the university on the Google map, but I didn't find it. So I kind of look at all the little neighborhoods around. I put the marker down sort of tentatively, and then I'm going to go back to the start to sort of try to figure out how I got there. I think I actually went in a different direction because I end up by this bank and I'm in this like parking lot really, and then I get out and when I turn, I realize okay, this is the roundabout type thing. So it kind of looks like I went east and north to get there. So I put my marker just kind of in the middle of it all and hope I'm close enough, and I was. So I got the 5,000. Immediately, round five, I'm super disappointed. This is not like a real road. I look like I'm on a trail in the middle of absolute nowhere. I go to the west first because I didn't want to sort of like if I went the other way, there was like a big dust cloud from the car. I didn't want to have to deal with that being in my view for a long time. So I go west. I have like no hope, really. I'm on this like dirt path. But once I get through this clearing of trees up here, after this turnoff, I see water. Like I'm on a coastline. So it's like I'm probably on like the west coast of an island, and that's what I'm thinking. I go all the way to the coast, and then the path runs out. So I try to like turn around and go continue going that way on the path, but it won't let me. And then my plan is to just sort of go back and take whatever fork I can, but I can't take any of the forks. And then I'm like, what am I doing? I just need to go back to the start. So I go to the start and I turn around and start going the other way. Again, I don't really know what I'm gonna find at all. I don't know how far away from any major road I am, but it turns out once I get through here, there's actually a major road right here. So I turn left at the major road. I check the other way, but it seems like there's another road when I go to the left. And then I find a blue sign, and it says Kurasare, 39 kilometers. The other names are Mustila and Tagarana, but Kurasare, I recognize it is the capital of Saaremaa, which is an island of Estonia off the west coast of the mainland. So I go straight there. I see Kurasare. I zoom in, and it's 39 kilometers, and it's kind of towards the south. I check the compass here. So I look on the north coast for Mustila and Tagarana, and I find it immediately. So I'm zooming in now, and I'm just going to try to pick out my spot. I don't know. It looks like I'm getting, because it was 8 kilometers to Mustila and 2 to Tagarana, so I'm just trying to like get my bearings down, and it looks like there's 2 candidates for roads that go connect to the main road. I go back to the start. I'm kind of facing east-west, and there's a road, only one in the north direction that kind of juts back west a little bit. It doesn't take very long to get to the main road again from where I started, and so I go to the east to get there, and then when I get there, the road is kind of pointing to the northwest, and then there's another road just north of the one that I was on. So I go to the map. Let's see, I'm going to have to time this carefully. At first, I checked the blue sign because I know it said something was in the direction of the other road, but I can't read it. I go to the map. It's not this one because the road's not pointing northwest enough. And then when I check the other one, in just a second, there I go. The 2 roads are there. It's definitely a candidate. Running out of time. Wait, was that by 1 second? Literally, I didn't remember. I had to check my videos to find out if I was faster or not. Holy shit. Oh, every freaking second counts, man. I thought that was impossible, but seeing the water, and then I was like, okay, let's go back to the start, go the other way. I don't even remember what I'm talking about at this stage. I'm just going to keep on going until... What's the name of the island again? Sorry. Actually, I think I'm probably going to meet it right here. So, yeah. After not getting a PB for like 3 weeks, this felt super good. Even if it was by 1 second, any improvement counts, and it just makes you feel like you're not wasting your time or getting worse at the game. So, to summarize, the Iceland round could absolutely have been quicker. I was placed right by like a very helpful directions sign. The Poland round was the slowest, and it likely was always going to be. I had a long way to go to get to any signs, but once I was there, I could have found Kłodzko faster. And same with Skrzina. Here, I'll go ahead and show the clue. The billboard here, it said Chego in the circle. So that let me know that it was on like the Czech border or near the Czech border, and I would have been able to zoom in on that area and find it a little bit faster. The route in Homer could have been slightly faster if I went south first, but I didn't, so it took a little bit longer. And then I probably spent too long in Malaysia searching for the right spot. Finally, I went the wrong way at first in Estonia, but without seeing the ocean, who knows if I would have been able to like contextualize everything and find the right spot. Probably, but not like 100% certain. Anyways, as for like future videos and such, I looked up Nottingham maps on GeoGuessr, and there isn't really one that's amazing, so I don't know what I'm gonna do with that. I got beaten on the Amarillo map by an individual named Corbin, so I'll try to beat him again. I think I'm gonna try to improve my Austin time, and also I have another Diverse World video to upload, so lots of content coming your way. If you have any questions or like observations, like please comment. I love this game and I love to talk about it. So that would be nice to be able to discuss things. So anyways, yeah, that's about it. Bye. Have a nice day.